Guys, let me tell you about the Blue Cash Preferred Card from American Express. You get 6% cash back at U.S. supermarkets on up to $6,000 in purchases. We all go to supermarkets. This is useful for all of us. This means you get 6% cash back on chocolate chip cookies, double chocolate chip cookies. If you can find the elusive triple chocolate chip cookie, it applies to that too. It's cash back, backed by the service and security of membership. Start earning cash back at AmexBlueCash.com. Terms apply. Some of the most beautiful stories you're going to find are in documentaries. Discover a vast library of documentaries on Sundance Now Doc Club, which is a new premium service for documentaries. It's very cool. I'm a member. Like, they have this thing, the writer's room. You get to look behind the curtains, see how shows are made. Shows like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, Scandal, House of Cards. Very, very cool. I like Brothers Keeper. Nice, grim, dark documentary, the kind I like. It's available on web, mobile, Apple TV, and Roku. Become a member. Start streaming now. Get a free month at docclub.com/beautiful. That's www.docclub.com/beautiful. Put beautiful in lowercase. Get that free month. Enjoy it. Hello, welcome. We're here. Another episode of your favorite show that lets other people talk too personally in a public sphere. My name is Chris Gethard, and this is Beautiful Stories from Anonymous People.
I'd rather go one-on-one. I think it'll be more fun, and I'll get to know you, and you'll get to know me.
Oh man, maybe you've already noticed this episode's shorter than they usually are here on Beautiful Anonymous. It is our first ever hang-up. Welcome to the show. Before I talk about that, couple quick housekeeping things. People keep asking me online, how do you call in? We've never mentioned it, which is foolish. Just follow me on Twitter. I tweet out the number when I'm in the studio. Not a ploy to get you to follow me, just the honest answer to the question. Another thing about this episode is I interrupt this person a lot. It makes me, you guys have been giving me the feedback. The one negative thing I keep hearing is I interrupt too much. And yes, in the early episodes, the earliest calls, I was nervous, didn't know what I was doing. This one I really overtalk this guy, which leads me to the real thing I want to talk about, our first ever hang up. And as you will hear at the end of the episode, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't feel great. Caller, I think I backed you into a corner. I apologize if you're listening, and I'm interested to hear. You guys can hear. I go back and forth when I listen to this one. This guy seemed okay, but then again, my Catholic shame and guilt kick in, and sometimes I really feel like I didn't do right by this caller. So if that's the case, caller, I am sorry I made you uncomfortable. In the meantime, I'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You will hear my very genuine, emotional reactions to the hang-up afterwards. Enjoy Beautiful Anonymous.
Thank you for calling Beautiful Anonymous. A beeping noise will indicate when you are on the show with the host.
Hi, this is Chris Gethard. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for calling. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I was actually kind of wondering about, why do you think so many people within this community battle with problems with addiction?
With addiction? It's a good question. I just realized the other day, this year will mark 15 years that I haven't had alcohol. So I definitely think that, you know what I think? It's weird. It's, I think one thing that, I don't know why people battle with addiction, but it does make sense to me that people who are addicts would enjoy going up on stages and getting an adrenaline rush. Like, I think there's definite adrenaline that comes with that. There's approval that comes with that. It's definitely like a rush. I think there is, like, when that goes well, there's a little bit of a chemical element. So I see the correlation. Like, I see why people with a personality that's chasing something would go there. I also think the comedy world, the lifestyle lends itself to it, maybe. Like, there's a lot of times as a stand-up where you're alone on the road, you're in a hotel room for 4 days in a city where you don't know anybody by yourself. It can be boring, and drugs are fun. I don't really use them myself, but they're fun. Like, the last time I fell off the wagon, I did a bunch of MDMA in 2012 at Bonnaroo, and it messed my whole life up, but it was fun. Drugs are exciting and fun.
Yeah. It's just a bizarre thing, too, because it's like so much of this stuff happens, and I'm, someone who's been sober myself for a year. And it's like this bizarre thing where it seems like this, it's like a very inviting community, but then, 98% of what, you do in like the very small end of this community is in bars. And it's just this bizarre experience to like force yourself to surround yourself with it.
Yeah. A lot of times bars are the only things that are open when you're done doing shows. So you got to go hang out there. But I don't know. I like being around drunk people. It's fun. It's weird. It's like I wish I was okay. I wish I was good at it because, like I see my friends who don't have problems with drinking and drugs, and I'm like, yeah, it seems cool. Like it loosens you up for conversations, makes everybody a little more social and happy. Not me. I used to just drink until I was blacked out or I wanted to fight somebody. That was it. So yeah, for me, I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a very fun thing to do, and I totally get it. But it's also like this bizarre thing where it just like it makes me so like excited to like lie and to like pretend to be like this whole different set of people that don't even exist unless I've had like 9 shots, and it's like this bizarre thing where I had like I guess put out 3 or 4 different versions of myself, and playing them was really fun, but then tracking who was who at any given time became a very confusing thing.
Yeah. I get that, man. I get that. Same thing. And congrats on being sober for a year. That's no small task. So,
oh, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But I don't know. Was it just drinking or were you a drug guy as well?
I was really just drinking. I'm too anxious of a person for all the other stuff. It all, anytime I tried anything else, it was like immediate. Like, all I wanted to do was like go to bed and like crawl under the covers and hang out there.
Yeah. I wish there's a part of me that wishes I tried more drugs before I went sober.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I never did acid. I never did mushrooms. I never did cocaine. I mean, I think I probably would have been dead if I discovered any of those things, or at the very least, my brain would be severely rearranged. I always felt like with acid that I was like, someone with the recognized mental problems I have should not be messing with acid. That always seemed like a safe bet. I got a lot of friends who tell me mushrooms are amazing. Never did those. Cocaine, I feel like it seems fun, but everybody I've ever seen on it seems really annoying, and I have a feeling I'd be the most annoying person if I did a bunch of cocaine, but I never did any of those. And there's a part of me that regrets it. There's a part of me that does. But, then again, I'm really happy. I live a happy life, and I think being sober is a big part of it.
Was it ever a thing? Because it's only like come out since I became sober that like half my family is sober, and I had no idea because no one ever talked about it. Was it like a thing in your family, or was it this is just like your own personal? No,
it's been a thing in my family, especially my mom's side of the family. Her dad had a big drinking problem. He was off the boat from Ireland. He showed up in the U.S. in 1928. He was 18 years old, and if you're an 18-year-old child who's driven to get on a boat and leave behind your whole family and go across an ocean to start a new life, there's definitely some darkness there, and there's a lot of drinkers, and my mom has a lot of stories about like growing up in a house with her father and all these aunts and uncles who just like were out of control and like fist fighting each other. A lot of crazy stuff. There's I hope my mom doesn't mind me airing this to the world, but my dad has a story that I find very funny about when he was dating my mom. He showed up once and my grandfather he showed up to pick my mom up for a date. My grandfather came outside and tried to fight him on the front lawn, and my dad was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to fight my future father-in-law. So there's a lot of stories that are kind of like, I feel like being an Irish American, one of the trends that we fall into is like there's a lot of stories that I find very funny that are actually just sad and grim. There's a lot of family tales that get passed around at holidays where we're all like, ah, ha, ha. Then when you actually like think about the facts of those stories, there's literally nothing funny about them, and they're just full of human darkness. So yeah, that's kind of my experience. Like in my family, I saw it, and still see it with some people, and it's sad. And I have a lot of family members who are sober, and I have a lot of family members who fight really hard to stay sober, and I'm very proud of them when I see them fighting as hard as they do. But yeah, it was a thing I was around. It was a thing I knew about. My parents actually, my whole childhood, they never kept any alcohol in the house because of my mom's experience. She was just like, I've never seen either of my parents drunk, And I didn't see either of my parents drink until after I graduated college. And I was already sober by that point. And then I'll see my mom at weddings will have a cocktail. It will usually involve Kahlua. She'll drink something with Kahlua in it roughly twice a year. And then my dad has referenced the fact that when my dad, for a while, he worked at a company where he did like quality control for a pharmaceutical company, and they would sometimes send him to a plant in Belgium to check on the quality control. And he has referenced to me that he would drink beer in Belgium because the beer's good there. Never actually seen my father drink alcohol, but he has mentioned it. And I've seen my mom drink, like, you know, tiny glasses that involve Kahlua a handful of times in my life. So I think my mom was just like, I saw way too much bad stuff, so we're not even going to chance that in our house. So even for guests, like when there were situations, if we were having like a party or a family gathering, other people were expected to bring the alcohol, or alcohol would be bought specifically for that occasion. But yeah, otherwise, we had a fridge. Dude, this makes me realize we had a fridge in our basement. Have you ever seen that Snoop Dogg video where they open the fridge and it's just like 40s top to bottom?
I know the image. It's somewhere in the back of my mind.
Yeah. We had a fridge like that, but it was Yoo-Hoo and Hawaiian Punch. My parents kept a whole fridge in our basement full of Yoo-Hoo and Hawaiian Punch, which I think is like bad in its own way. They had no booze in the house, but if I wanted to drink 3 gallons of Hawaiian Punch every day, totally fine. Totally fine.
I gotta apologize. I didn't expect to. I saw on like Twitter like a second before I called you, you know, that this was happening.
Yeah.
And it was the first thought that came to my mind was to just ask this question. And I didn't mean to pull you into like I didn't mean to be so invasive, actually.
My dude, I'm gonna tell you something about me. Is I'm an open book. We're gonna pause this call. I hope you're enjoying it, but in the meantime, I've got some things to tell you about some of the lovely sponsors that help make this show happen. One of the most flattering things for me about hosting Beautiful Anonymous is when I see people tweet out stuff like, I want to talk to you, you know, and I bet sometimes maybe you think to yourself, wouldn't it be nice if I could have my own private Gethard? It'd be nice to just get someone to listen to you talk about your life. It's a fun thing. It's a gratifying thing. Maybe just even tell them about your day. Now, we all know how tough it is to just get a friend on the phone these days. Everybody's texting. It feels like you're bothering people to call them. This is where Chirpy comes in. They actually give you the convenience of renting a friend. That is right. You can rent a friend. Chirpy's the first of its kind. Chirpy has a huge marketplace of hundreds of listeners. You can rent any one of them to keep you company on the phone. It's pretty simple. Once you find a profile you like, you click a button and Chirpy's system connects both of your phones anonymously, just like this show. You don't have to hold back because it's a stranger. They don't know you. They're not going to judge. They're just there to pamper you, give you their full attention. Go to chirpynetwork.com and use the code BEAUTIFUL when you create your account. For a limited time, you get 20 talk credits to start you off for just $1. That's chirpynetwork.com. Use the code BEAUTIFUL. You can start talking to somebody right now. Today's episode of Beautiful Stories is brought to you by FrameBridge, my old friends at FrameBridge. FrameBridge is a simple way to custom frame the story of your best experiences, whether that's vacations, life experiences like weddings. You upload stuff online, you mail them anything. Art, maps, album covers, whatever. They frame it, they send it back to you in days, fully ready to hang. And it's really awesome. They just framed for me. I didn't even ask for this. They drew a picture of my enemy from the Gethard Show, Vacation Jason. They put it in a bamboo frame. It fit the theme. I was really mad about it, even though it was a beautiful framing job. It's just I don't like that Vacation Jason. Pricing starts at $39, a fraction of expensive frame stores. All shipping's free. You can even give a custom frame as a gift. They'll ship it straight to your friends and your family. Few days. We got weddings coming up, Father's Day, all sorts of things. Graduations. You get a nice gift. They do a great job. I can vouch for it personally. If you lived it, FrameBridge will frame it. Enter offer code BEAUTIFUL at checkout for 15% off your first FrameBridge order at framebridge.com. Thank you, FrameBridge. Okay, it's time to return to our call.
I didn't mean to pull you into like I didn't mean to be so invasive, actually.
My dude, I'm going to tell you something about me. Is I'm an open book. I'm a total open book. I don't care.
That's so good of you. I'm not usually.
Okay. Well, if you want to keep talking about this, we can. If you want to be an open book today, that's fine. You don't have to. If you want to switch topics, we can switch topics, or you can hang up the phone. Totally up to you. I feel like you called up, asked a question, and then I spoke for 9 straight minutes, and I seem to have made you vastly uncomfortable with the.
No, actually, no. It's more like it's more of a like I kind of feel bad. Without any introduction at all, I kind of put you on the spot.
Hey, I asked for it. I said I'm the one who came up with the premise of this podcast, and I like it. I like people. I really like people, and I like people who from all different walks of life. So, excuse me. Like part of my whole goal with even doing this is like, let's talk to all different people who have been through all different things. And I feel like part of that contract is I better be ready to share my own things. Because if I'm not brave enough to share my own things, how can I ask anybody else to share their things? So you got nothing to apologize for.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's awesome, though.
So
I don't even know how long you've been doing the show. How long has it been going for?
Oh, it hasn't even debuted yet. We're just recording the initial batch. I mean, once people hear this, they'll be like, how has it not debuted yet? I'm listening to it. So by that point, it will have debuted. But at the time we are recording this, I think this is like the 8th or 9th one we've done, something like that. We're still in the single digits. You're on the ground floor of this. You're setting the bar for what this thing can be. You're part of the foundational aspects of turning this into whatever it will someday become.
That's very cool.
So what do you think? Is today the day you are an open book, or are we just gonna go back and forth?
I mean, in general, I think I'm anonymous on this thing. But yeah, I'm kind of an open cat. It was a funny thing when you were talking about kind of your family experience and mine. The difference for me is when I kind of opened up to my family about this kind of thing. I went home, and I'm from Virginia, and there was kind of like this weird thing where a bunch of my family members were like, just kind of gave me like a silent nod when they saw me that seemed to have like a lot of weight behind it. And then the other half of my family was like, you know what, I've was like extremely open about their personal problems and past with all this stuff themselves. And then there's like this weird subsect of even like different family members who would come up to me with like a bottle of beer in hand and be like, hey man, I've had the same problem for a long time. Great that you're thinking about doing something about it. And they'll talk openly about it, but they'll talk openly about it while, like with a beer in hand. It's very confusing.
Wow. Now, can I ask you something? Because I grew up in the Northeast. You grew up in Virginia?
Yeah.
And do your parents, does your family have roots in Virginia?
Yeah, kind of all around the like DC-ish area. Now
that's like the South, but it's not quite the South, right?
No, it's a weird thing between like the 3 states where it's like Maryland is definitely they're decidedly not the South, and DC is not. But then there's like you cross over like 2 miles and suddenly everyone believes it's the South, and kind of. You'll run into lots of spots where it's like between one city to the next, it's like a much more southern feel than the place you were in 3 minutes before.
Wow. So is there a southern, I don't know, it's weird because we all stereotype, and as a Northeasterner, I don't know the South, but when you say this thing of like silent nods and people talking about this issue with you while they're drinking a beer, it feels to me like there is almost like a genteel aspect or like behind closed doors aspect of problems like these that I associate with the South. But that might just be because I've read To Kill a Mockingbird a whole bunch of times. But that's also 1930s Alabama. That's not your experience. Do you feel like there's like a southern side of that? Like to me, I felt like in North Jersey, my experience was a lot of people, not necessarily with the alcohol stuff, because the alcohol stuff for me tied into me going to therapy for the first time. And going to therapy for the first time, I feel like it was met with almost a little bit of like, what? You're doing what? Like almost like a toughness that I associate with where I grew up, of like blue collar North Jersey, of just like, you're not gonna have a drink, like you're gonna go see a shrink, like a lot of like toughness. Whereas what you described to me sounds like to me what I would expect, like a slight variation that has a little bit more of a southern flair to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, I guess with a lot of stuff, it's a lot of kind of unwillingness to open up. But then when you do, it's a surprising amount of warmth you're met with, even if it is like trying to think of a good way to put it, but it's like, gosh, there's like an obvious divide between like the people who will want to talk with you about it, and the people who will kind of just get. I'm trying to think of that. It's hard to explain, actually.
Yeah, sometimes people don't want to hear about it. They don't want to face their own demons. They don't want to. They don't want to ask their own questions because then they got to answer them.
Yeah.
So let me ask you: is there a? And you don't have to answer this. It's up to you. Was there like a specific incident, a specific night in your life where you were like, "This, I'm done. This is too much."
With me, not really. Actually, it was just like such a long time. I mean, not that long. Probably like 4 years of just like, kind of like every day, and at a certain point, you just kind of like. I don't know. It was more of like a personal, like kind of like getting your act together kind of a thing. Just like there wasn't any like inciting incident or any kind of like big.
It was just time to grow up.
There was no big revelation moment, which I know is not that exciting, but it is just kind of the way it turned out.
It's okay. You don't have to be exciting. I'm totally down if this is just average and a calm, kind conversation. That's fine too. It's weird. Did you find, like, I feel like people who have, like, stories to point to maybe almost have it easier as far as giving it up. Like, it actually, what you're describing, it sounds like it's almost harder in a way to go sober because it sounds like there's not things that stand out where people are like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. For me, most of my friends are like, when I quit drinking, a lot of my friends were like, yep, cool, man. Yeah, good call. Like, a lot of people who had seen me drunk or drank with me were like, uh-huh. Yeah, we got your back on that. Whatever you need, whatever support you need, we will happily support you. Because I mean, the amount of times that I cried, got in fist fights, threw up, or shit my pants was you couldn't count them on all my fingers and toes. Like it was bad. So it's actually, but for me, it actually means that I think there was a lot of visible stuff that people were respectful of the fact that when I said I was not drinking, there were a lot of people who were like, yes, we will help you with that. It sounds like it's probably almost harder if it was just sort of like a consistency. Like it was happening all the time, but it sounds like you didn't have incidents where people were like, oh yeah, I woke up, I came out of my house and you were sleeping in your underwear on my front lawn. Like you don't have those stories, huh?
Well, I think the other thing is, I don't know. I have like everyone has their fair share of like embarrassing stories where I, woke up the next day to find out I'd gotten into a screaming match with like a group of very nice sorority members doing community service the next day.
Is that true? Is it a real example?
That is a real thing.
You got to tell me that story. You have to tell me that story.
Because community service, I don't know.
Well, but here's my first question.
I don't know that much information about it.
Blacked out.
Pretty much,
But here's my first question.
Yeah.
Is if a sorority's doing community service, isn't that generally during daytime hours?
It was about, if I was to guess the time, I would say 2 p.m.
So 2 p.m., you're blackout drunk. You're so drunk at 2 p.m. that you can't faithfully remember the details of this story. So it's 2 p.m. What do you remember about harassing a sorority doing something kind? They were doing community service. Yes. Walk me through this. This seems like a good time to take a quick break. We're going to be right back with the conversation. Believe me. It'll just be after this. If you're someone who runs a small business, you want to make sure your business runs efficiently. Time is a great commodity. You know what gets in the way of that? Constant trips to the post office. With Stamps.com, you'll be able to spend less time at the post office, more time actually growing your business. They make mailing and shipping easy. Use your own computer, your own printer to buy and print official U.S. postage for any letter, any package. Stamps.com does all the thinking for you. You get a digital scale, calculates the exact postage you need, helps you decide the best class of mail. 600,000 small businesses use Stamps.com. You never have to go to the post office again. I tell you, I'm an anxiety-driven person, and the post office is built to make me have a panic attack. Anything to avoid it, I'm into. Right now, sign up for Stamps.com. Use my promo code BEAUTIFUL for this special offer. 4-week trial, $110 bonus offer, including postage and a digital scale. Don't wait. Go to Stamps.com before you do anything else. Click on the microphone at the top of the homepage. Type in BEAUTIFUL. That's Stamps.com. Enter BEAUTIFUL. Thank you to all our sponsors. Let's get back to the phone call. You're so drunk at 2 p.m. that you can't faithfully remember the details of this story. So it's 2 p.m. What do you remember about harassing a sorority doing something kind? They were doing community service. Yes. Walk me through this.
All I know, for the most part, was that I was at this like bar restaurant that was having a brunch thing that I was at with a group of people.
A brunch? So you're getting blackout drunk at brunch. You're getting blackout drunk on like mimosas.
Yeah. And so that was, and that in and of itself was not totally out of the norm for me. Mm-hmm. But it was, there was some kind of it was something so small. It was like 2 members of the sorority who were doing like a coat drive or like a mitten drive thing. And I guess they were operating out of, they had like a cardboard box in the corner of this bar, and they were.
So they're not causing trouble. It's not obtrusive. They're good people doing a good thing and keeping it low key.
So the only information I can really give you is that I know that they went around to tables and mentioned this thing to people. And what I'm assuming they said is something along the lines of just like, hey, I have this box here. And, any coats you can donate or whatever. And I flipped out about people trying to like steal my coat or something like that. And, yeah. Gosh, oh man, it's giving me this horrible like feeling back in my stomach of being like hungover even talking about it.
Well, I'll tell you for mine. You don't have to talk about anything you want, but I am fascinated by these stories, and I'm not judging you at all, and I'm glad you're sharing. You don't have to if you don't want, but I'm glad you are from my end because it's fascinating. Because I'll tell you, my initial reaction to this is like maybe 2.5 minutes ago, I was like, so what was the story, the inciting incident? And you were like, I really didn't have one. And then within moments, you told us a story about getting afternoon blackout drunk and fighting sorority members. So that tells me that there were some times where you threw down and it doesn't even stand out to you. That doesn't even stand out, which is I was like kind of like a performative jerk when it came to some of this stuff. That's a great phrase, a performative jerk. That's a sad state of living, but a very great phrase.
Which is not my active like life state, but it was like my drunk state.
Yes.
I had to be the center of attention, and even though I knew I was being a jerk, I think
what you needed.
Attention was just an exciting thing, which actually goes back to the whole beginning part of like why I think I like doing, why I enjoy doing the improv the way that I do now, sober. But it's a bizarre set of circumstances.
So you love the attention, but maybe you were too nervous back in the day. Maybe there was some self-esteem issues about just getting attention for who you were. So you'd have a little bit of the liquid courage, and then the next thing you know, you're trying to fist fight 2 sorority members while the people around you are eating Eggs Benedict on a Sunday.
No physical altercation. I'll bring that up.
No physical altercations. Never, not one.
No, actually, no. I've never been a fighter.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever got an actual fist fight when I was drunk. I do remember at one point definitely getting thrown down a set of stairs at a house I was not supposed to be inside. I do remember that.
I love that. Well, I'm sorry. This is the worst, but because I'm actually really enjoying this. But I'm at work, and I am being summoned into my boss's office now.
Okay. Do you want to hang up, or do you just want to put down the phone and I'll sit in silence until you come back?
I don't know how long I'll be gone, so unfortunately, I think I have to hang up.
Okay.
So, Chris, thank you for the talk. I've enjoyed it.
Please, thank you. Thanks for sharing so much and being so open and honest. I don't want to get you in trouble at work, but it was really nice of you.
Hey, thank you. I know that I was definitely uncomfortable for parts of it, but hey, Hey, that's
what I'm here for, man.
It's part of the fun.
Awesome.
Have a great one, Chris.
Yeah, you too.
Bye.
His boss didn't come. I don't think his boss came. I think I just made him really uncomfortable, don't you? I think we went to some places he didn't want to go. I think he wanted to talk to me about improv. And then I was like, no, somehow I think I made him really uncomfortable. I feel half bad and half great. Right? There's no way his boss, I think he was like, I want out. I don't feel good telling this brunch thing. I don't want to relive this. I think he pieced out. I think he may be the first official casualty of me being an oversharer, officially scared someone away for the first time. But all right, that's mission accomplished, if you ask me, right? It's part of what we're here for, man. People got to own it. I feel bad. If that guy's out there listening, I'm sorry I made you clearly so uncomfortable that you faked a boss scenario. My bad on that. I hope that guy's not in a bar right now. I hope I didn't know. No, he said he was feeling sick and hungover. Oh no. Did I give him like a flashback? Oh, I hope that guy's not down at the corner bar right now with the townies throwing back shots. Oh God. Oh no. Whew. That guy didn't relapse because of that conversation, did he? I didn't cause a relapse in 20 minutes, did I? I like that this episode is now half a conversation and half me having a guilt-driven meltdown about the repercussions of that conversation. What do you guys think, though? Do you think the boss thing was real? My immediate instinct was like, no way. But I'm feeling really panicky that I just caused a guy to relapse. Oh, God. You don't think he's sucking down a bottle of vermouth right now, do you? I don't know why I went with vermouth. Why would his office have vermouth? Okay. He did start it up by saying, why are so many performers prone to addiction? So he opened the door, but I think it's fair to say he started to open that door in gentle fashion, and then I acted like the fucking Kool-Aid man and sprinted face first through the door. Yeah, I came through the wall. I didn't even go through the door. I climbed up the side of the house and came down the chimney. Ooh, I feel a little bad. I hope that guy's feeling good. 1 year, it's still tough. I'm 15 years in. It's easy for me to be like, oh, I'm so fucked up. I wish I still did drugs. It's easy for me. This guy's a year in. Hope that guy's not, huffing lighter fluid in a utility closet at his job right now. Hopefully he is talking about spreadsheets and budgets and whatever. Okay. All right. Just gonna stew in this. Gonna stew in these feelings for a while, I guess. Well, that's how that went. I feel bad. I am gonna wonder for a while if I'm a bad person. It's true. As a person who's been sober for many years, I genuinely did. I forgot how hard it is to be 1 year in, and I think if that guy's boss was calling him, I hope you didn't get in trouble with your boss. And if you made up that boss because I was coming on too strong, I want to let you know that I truly do apologize. And if anybody has respect for what you're going through and how tough it can be, it's me. And please, anonymous person, accept my apologies. Welcome to the Comedy Podcast. I want to thank Greta Cohn, the Reverend John Delore, and Shellshag for our music. The happiest part of this episode was definitely the Shellshag intro. And I'm out there in the world, chrisgeth.com for touring dates. If you want to tell me face-to-face that I shouldn't have said some of those things to a recovering person, totally fair. I'll have the conversation with you. thechrisgethardshow.com if you want info on the TV show I do. And that's that. Call in someday. I learned a lot from this one, and I promise that hopefully in the future I will never again cross some of the lines that I may have crossed that time. If I do, feel free to just tell me, and we'll see you next time, Beautiful Anonymous.
Kiss me face to face.
Thanks again to FrameBridge for sponsoring today's podcast. If you lived it, FrameBridge will frame it, from vacation photos, album covers, handwritten notes, hand-drawn doodles of your fictional enemies from your TV show. You can easily upload anything online. They'll frame it, send it back to you in days. Enter offer code BEAUTIFUL at checkout for 15% off your first FrameBridge order at framebridge.com. Next time on Beautiful Anonymous.
My heart's kind of pounding right now, knowing that this could be heard by, thousands of different people. So I'm about to, I have a law exam in about an hour and 15 minutes.
Wait, you have a law exam in an hour? We could talk. I mean, you can hang up whenever you want, but a lot of these things go for an hour.
Man, this is more important to me than the law exam. And plus, I only have to be in the room like 15 minutes before it starts, so as soon as this cuts off, I'm good to go.
Next time on Beautiful Anonymous.
Hey everyone, Scott Aukerman here, and I want to tell you that the Comedy Bang Bang show is going on tour. We're on tour right now. Me, Paul F. Tompkins, Lauren Lapkus, Neil Campbell for half of it, and Mike Hanford for the other half. And you can get in on the madness even without a ticket by following Earwolf on Snapchat. We'll be taking snaps during shows, on the road, and behind the scenes. And remember, you can hear every single live show the next day on Howl. Use the code CBBLive at howl.fm when you sign up, and you'll get 1 month for free. Thanks, and I'll see you soon in a city near you.
Los Angeles, California!
This has been an Earwolf production, executive produced by Scott Aukerman, Adam Sachs, and Chris Bannon. For more information and content, visit earwolf.com.